All right, you guys, so in the last video, we talked about how beginner beats usually don't have enough dynamic range. I'm going to show you guys an advanced technique using the fruity limiter. So I'm going to place this just before the final two soft clippers because this is where we're just adding tone. So for this one, I'm actually going to rename it. Let's call this expander. So instead of, most people know compression as just downward motion, but you can actually have compression go upward. This is called expansion. So what we're going to do is turn the ceiling up, very important, or else you're going to hit a wall and it's going to compress back down. And then we're going to go to compressor mode. We're going to turn the threshold down, and then we're going to turn the ratio to the left. So this is expansion. So instead of turning the volume down when it goes past the threshold, it turns it up. And basically we can make the pointy stuff more pointy. So to explain this chain real quick, we have an EQ readjusting the emphasis to the sub frequencies, rolling off the super low frequencies to create dynamic that way. That was one of the ways I showed you guys for underground beats. And then we have the fruity soft clipper. Here is, let me see, I think here, let me see what we're even doing with this. I think it's just catching the initial tone. I think we're shaped it a little bit. No, I don't think we did too much on that. Oh, you know what? This is, we had this in the front of the chain first, and then I added the EQ. So this was really just to turn everything down to 0 because it was clipping on the beat mix. And then the EQ I added before that just so we could shape the tone. The fruity limit, this initial fruity limiter was for tape saturation. I showed you guys how we're basically taking round edges and then squaring them off. So if you guys pause this screen, I don't know how to zoom in on this, but if you zoom in on your screens, you'll see that it's squaring off this pointiness of the audio. So basically when you square off audio, it sounds flat. So what we're doing now is adding the curvature back to the squared off audio so that instead of it being, you know, a round sound and then having dynamic initially, it's now squared off. We lost dynamic, and now we're going to add the height difference between the trough and the peak back using an expander. So here with the expander, the key here is to turn up the sustain because there will be jitter when you guys boost the volume because it's just how it works. So just turn up the sustain so that it looks more for an RMS. It increases the window for the RMS. So if you guys want bigger transients, you could turn the ratio higher. I'll exaggerate so you guys can hear. Now you guys can feel that movement of the track. Most people think that's built by compression. It's actually usually expansion. So depending on how dynamic you guys want your track, that's an aggressive amount of dynamics. So we can pull that back. So again, let's play it before. Here's before. Here's after. Now it feels like the listener is on a wave as opposed to just hearing the sound. You can actually feel the sound. So that's a hidden thing that nobody really talks about from Fruity Limiter. And I did a short about it like probably years ago, but I don't talk about it enough. So in the age of underground beats, this is where I would normally place it. Is again, the chain is in the EQ, shaping the tone, and taking out the super sub frequency so that we're having more of a dynamic low end fall off feel. And then we're boosting the transients of that initial kick in the 808, and then we're moving into a soft clipper to catch the signal at 0, which initially could square the sound off depending on how hard you guys are going into the soft clipper. But the main stage of squaring it off is the fruity limiter here, where we just turn that saturation down, turn the ceiling up so that the limiter doesn't keep pushing the volume down, and then turn the saturation to the left. This basically is squaring off the sound. Now from here, we're going to run into the fruity limiter expander. So I just showed you guys how to set it up. Make sure you go to your limiter mode, make sure the ceiling is all the way up, or else it will start compressing once you go past a certain point. Then go to compressor mode, pull your threshold all the way back, turn your ratio to the left. So not the right side, the left. And then up your sustain to get rid of any jitter or like flutteriness. So that will add dynamic range back. And then we're going into the fruity soft clipper, which is catching the sound at 0. And then we're using the post knob here to push into the next soft clipper, which is the final like 0. And then we can also go to the final soft clipper and change the threshold to change the tone. more of a compressed sound, you guys can turn that to the left. So let's play it with and without the expander. Here's without. So nothing wrong with the sound, but let's add the expander. So it's a little more ear catching. And again, the key that I was talking about in the last video is now because we can hear the difference between the pointy part and the sustain part of a sound. And when you hear the difference between the pointy part and sustain, the track feels more like alive and it feels like there's more movement. So that's what I usually see with beginners, is they don't understand the importance of dynamics. It really is one of the biggest flaws I see in beginner level beats. If you guys want to learn more, go to busyworksbeats.com/premium. Sign up for free. Peace out, guys.